This is the Hunt Quietly podcast. I'm Matt Ranella.
Hey Justin, how you doing, man?
Not too bad. How are you?
Good, good. I'm glad we were able to record. Where are you located?
I am located in Mosinee, Wisconsin. So basically dead center of the state in Wisconsin.
Okay. Okay, so you're a cheesehead?
I am a cheesehead. Yep. I love my cheese curds and my Green Bay Packers. I will
No.
admit that.
I did some work in Green Bay, and man, is that a cool town.
Oh yeah. It takes over on weekends, and with the NFL draft coming up, yeah, that town's gonna be rocking when that hits. So
Oh man, I bet. I can only imagine. It's crazy because there's like the stadium, which is big, but then there's like right across the street, there's like neighborhoods.
oh yeah.
I mean, it's like right there.
Yep. And a lot of people open up their lawns, their backyards, and all that stuff for parking. And it's just, yeah, it's like the community. Well, technically, the community does own the Green Bay Packers, but yeah, it's an interesting. If you go to different stadiums and then you go to that one, it just has a different feel to it. That's for sure.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm outside of Pittsburgh, so we
Okay,
definitely share our passion for football.
for sure.
So what do you do? So do you do full color waterfowl full time?
No, it's something that's a small business for me. I'm a retail manager. That's kind of what I do. I keep going into different avenues, and it keeps sucking me back into the fray. So, full color waterfall is more of a passion of mine that's slowly evolving into social media marketing and getting further down that rabbit hole to hopefully make it into a full-time gig with whether it's videography, being a photographer outside within different companies and that kind of thing is kind of where I see my mission going. Um, I want to get more into the advocacy group for outdoors and that kind of thing that I didn't really think that was an avenue I wanted to go down at first. And now I kind of went into it full bore a little bit, as you would say. And it's interesting to figure out the dynamics that work within the outdoor industry. And it kind of intrigues me a lot. So it's kind of where I'm at right now with that.
Well, we definitely want to see you in the advocacy category for sure. And like the backstory for me was I don't know how you came up on my feed, but in Instagram, you came up on my feed and some of your videos caught my eye, and we'll get into that in a little bit here. But so I reached out to you, and now I follow you, and yeah, some of your stuff is cool. It looks like you do some photography and you do some designs with shirts and blankets and stuff like that. Is that all?
Yeah, it evolved from one graphic that me and my wife did, just talking about different things in graphic design. I'm creative to a point, but she's creative to computer coding and all the other stuff that she's able to do. And so she understands it a little bit further down the road than I do, but just had a conversation wondering if we could make, our graphic design and our photography into a business and just kind of rolled with it and came out with one graphic. And it was our little blue-wing teal wearing a pair of hip boots. And he was our flagship little graphic. And it evolved from that to getting more in depth into going down the hole of bigger cameras, bigger lenses, nicer equipment, and starting your own podcast and going through all the other stuff that kind of sucks you down and gets you into that creative mindset, which we really enjoy. So yeah, it's a passion of the hunting stuff, but it's more of just being able to share it with people that might not be hunters as well, and kind of opening up their eyes to the conversations that we should be having with non-hunters.
No, that's good stuff. And just like when you say you're kind of just getting into it, I mean, it looks professional. It looks like you guys know what you're doing and you've been doing it a long time. And you had some good designs and creative, and definitely the designs are definitely going to appeal to the non-hunter as well.
Sure. Yeah,
That's
no, and that was kind of the mission behind it because people that don't duck hunt, they see that little design of a duck wearing boots and they think, oh, that's cute. I don't know what it is, but I know it's a duck, right? And then that opens the conversation to, tell them about teal and how fast they are and how amazing they are to hunt and how they taste and all the other stuff that goes along with hunting to where if they're just going out bird watching and have a pair of binoculars, they're not looking at the whole aspect of the conservation angle of everything that a hunter does. So it's really cool to kind of have that conversation with people like that.
so. Did you grow up duck hunting, or do you deer hunt as well?
No, I grew up being a sole deer hunter because Wisconsin, basically that's just your rite of passage as a deer, you're a deer hunter.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
it kind of evolved for me a little bit later in life with the duck hunting aspect because after you've harvested quite a few deer, it's just like, okay, I enjoy it, but every hunter goes through that cycle of, okay, I got to get my first animal, and then I want to get a trophy, and then you go through the whack 'em and stack 'em phase, and you just pile them up, and after that, you kind of get a little bit more selective on whether it's weapon choice or wherever you go with that sport, and for shotgunning has always been something that I've really enjoyed, but my dad didn't duck hunt, my dad didn't turkey hunt. So it was kind of learn by yourself because when you're 20 something and don't have a mentor that really taught you anything getting into that age group, it's just trial by fire. You buy a few decoys, you learn how to call and hope it works out for the best, and you build your skill set, as you go. And now,
OJT, on the job training.
yep, exactly. There are many there are many days now that I pass up rut to go duck hunting, which I never thought I would ever say that in the history of me being a hunter. But it's just absorbed me as a person. Me and my wife just actually got little baby ducklings that we're going to raise now, so it's it's full circle for me. That's for sure.
Oh, when you say ducklings, you're talking about you just had kids?
Yeah, yeah, little tiny kids that run around and crap everywhere and get wet and make a big mess.
Oh,
Yes,
congratulations. Welcome to parenthood.
yeah,
Yeah, I didn't grow up duck hunting at all. I like you, I'm just like you, strictly deer hunting, a lot of small game, and
yep.
then when archery came into my life in my early 20s, that just dominates my time in the fall. I just absolutely love archery. But ironically, I used to live in Alaska, and
Okay.
logistics are a nightmare for hunting. Not a nightmare, but it's just difficult. Most hunting occurs, you got to fly out or get in the backcountry, and that's difficult to do when you live in Anchorage.
Sure.
So I just naturally navigated to what was closest to me, which was waterfowl hunting. And so for 7 years, man, I hunted my ass off when it came to duck hunting, and just fell in love with it. I don't do it near as much as I would like to, uh, but it's still near and dear to my heart.
Yeah, it definitely. I mean, Alaska is definitely a bucket list for this guy. So I might have to reach out to you for some connections if you have any up there. But yeah, it definitely. I mean, it's something that I would have never thought I'd be this insane into it. I was very adamant about being a deer hunter in Wisconsin, but it's the whole. I piggybacked ducks into turkey hunting because that's something I really didn't grow up doing either. We
Hmm.
have them all over the place. It's just something that again, if your parents or you have no mentor or grandpa that does it, it's not something that you really strive to go out and do. And then I did it one time with a friend that was willing to take me out, and yeah, I got my dad hooked on it to where he hasn't missed a day in 12 or a season in 12 years going out turkey hunting. So it's just birds in general are just kind of right now in life. That's my thing.
Yeah, and there's absolutely, I mean, nothing wrong with being an exclusive duck hunter. I mean, I realize, like, even though I do a lot of my hunting alone, sitting in a tree stand for deer, I realize how social I am whenever we have an outing with duck hunting or goose hunting. And it's so enjoyable to be with a group of guys in a blind hunting.
For sure. Yeah.
And I did that twice this year. We drew some um refuge goose blinds here in Western PA, and man, I can't tell you. Like I'm like I'm more of a social hunter than I am a solo hunter, to be honest with you.
Sure. Yeah, I kind of lean both ways. I like my kind of like my personal time in the marsh by myself, just to kind of unwind from the things of life and the things that kind of stress people out. But I also love the camaraderie of being able to watch somebody shoot bring a new person out and watch them shoot their first duck. Or I've been with a couple different friends that have shot their first band, and they're jumping around like a 6-year-old in a candy store. So it's yeah, I love both aspects of it. The social part of it I really enjoy is through social media. I've met a lot of people that I would have never met. Well,
Yeah,
you included.
yeah,
Um,
exactly. There is some good to social media for sure.
yeah, and it's been, I've been a part of the university hunts through Delta, and met the kids there, and just people that I've met going out in the marsh and doing wildlife photography that now I'm hunting buddies with. That you build that camaraderie within a community rather than it just being all, through a phone or through social media. It's actually social, which is what I think a lot of people miss about the whole social media angle of what we're doing with the social media marketing stuff.
Well, yeah, and when you're sincere, I think that comes out in whatever you're doing, and that's what caught my eye with you and your videos. It's like this dude is sincere in what he's saying, and and I know you have your business and whatnot, but you're not trying to like sell anything,
Right.
and I think that's what makes what you're doing even more appealing, just from my perspective.
Yeah, from my angle of it, if people enjoy our stuff and they want to purchase it, that's great. I mean, it's like I said, it's not my livelihood. I don't hang on every hoodie sale for seeing if we eat dinner or not. So
Yeah,
that's a
yeah.
that's a good positive there. Um, but when I started posting this stuff because I'm passionate about it, one of the things always take into account is, I don't let others' opinions of me devalue myself, but I also want my opinion to be heard, to be able to be a voice for not only the animals, but also to, be that voice of reason for education purposes. And so, like when the first video that you talked about that probably caught your eye about me posting a video of people doing bad things to
Yeah.
animals is
Let's get into it.
it.
Let's give the backstory. So, you posted a series of videos looking and talking about other videos that people have posted where they're in a blind with a duck or goose that they've shot that's not dead.
Yep.
And they're doing these crazy, just insane things like talking to the duck, petting the duck, using the duck as decoys or the goose as a decoy. So, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so the first one I posted was a younger gentleman out in, like, it looked like flooded timber, and he had two freshly wounded, crippled wood ducks was the first one that I had posted.
Right.
And and the thing that kind of was the disturbing part of it is neither one of those ducks were dead. Um, I get where he was going with it, showing the colors and this and that and whatever. I can see that aspect of it because they were beautiful birds. Um, but then putting music to it that's basically like screaming woody noises and not dispatching a bird in a timely fashion. Um, like I said in the video, it's just giving the non-hunter more fuel. And what I had originally posted in that is when I was going to post that and push send, obviously I'm putting my name behind that. I'm putting my business behind that. And then it gets into your head, should I be posting this or am I going to get a lot of heat for this? And the more that I thought about it, it's something that I'm passionate about. And I'm a firm believer in dispatching your birds as quick as possible. And when that kind of stuff happens, other kids that kid's age or younger see that and see it as acceptable. So And then when I did finally post that video, I didn't know how it was going to be taken. And to my surprise, I actually had thousands of people reach out to me and actually thank me
Yeah.
for posting that kind of content. And a lot of them were industry people that have been in this industry a very long time, that we need more of this. We need more of this. So it was a very net positive. You're always going to have the couple trolls that try to jump on there and, kind of discredit you or whatever they're trying to do, because that's just what the internet is sometimes. But for the most part, it was very, very heartfelt and understood. I've had a couple people reach out to me and ask to use those videos at sportsmen's expos when they're doing their seminars and stuff, to be able to kind of give people, shed a little bit more light on it and have open the conversation more. So it's been pretty cool.
That's awesome to hear. And let's just talk about it right now. Because I always feel like industry is quiet on this stuff because they don't want to stick their neck out. They don't want to take a stand. And my thoughts are, well, the large majority of people in this country don't hunt.
Right.
And so we need their support. You're always going to have the antis, and you're never going to change their mind. But for the most part, I would say that the bulk of the people, we want their support, and this kind of crap is detrimental to what we want as hunters. And I always feel like, where's the industry? Where are the Ducks Unlimited to reach out, or not to reach out, but where are the Ducks Unlimited to stand up against this stuff and be vocal about it, because they're going to have the largest audience.
For sure. And that's one of the reasons I got involved with Delta in the university hunt program that we do, because of that simple point of all the kids that are doing our university hunt program are people that have never hunted before. We're teaching them how to hunt, and we're being that mentor to them so that they understand that this is the correct way to do this, whether it's bird ID, safety with a shotgun, and then handling cripples out in the field and knowing how to process a bird once you've shot one. But a lot of those students, they're going to school for natural resource programs that, if they're non-hunters and they go into legislation and government, or they go into Ducks Unlimited or Delta Waterfowl and they get in somehow, they're the ones that are dictating how me and you are able to hunt, and what we're able to take, and how we're able to go on public land and pursue animals. So those are the kind of people that if you don't reach out to and you don't communicate with, so that they understand the conservation angle, hunting can keep going down the rabbit hole that it is. And with a lot of this stuff, it's not looking good in certain states.
Yeah, that's a good point. And you want that, even if that next group of hunters or new hunters, even if they don't stick with it, you still want them to walk away with a positive experience and meeting, people like yourself that are genuine. They're going to be supportive because, hey, Justin's a cool dude and he took the time and he hunts, so it can't be that bad.
Right. Yeah, and it opens eyes to, I'm a big advocate for when you're walking on the trails and you see whether it's a lady or a man walking toward you and they're not hunting, they're just out there bird watching, and they kind of wrinkle their nose up at you a little bit because you're walking with some ducks around your neck or in your boat. Just slowing down and opening up that conversation. And, at first they might think it's disgusting, but by the time you show them all the colors and help them understand how many birds actually exist out there and why we do what we do,
yeah,
it gives them that all around understanding, rather than just, ew, that's just a hunter that's out here to kill stuff and throw it in the weeds, because that's what a lot of people that are non-hunters think that we do.
So what industry folks reached out to you? Do they mind you sharing?
Well, the good ones or the bad ones?
Either one. Let's, because we could process of elimination. We could tell who didn't reach out to you, but
no, there was a couple major call companies that basically have been in the industry for quite a while.
Okay.
A couple that have been in 30 plus years. I had people that were for different state agencies in different states that saw it. And it's just like, yeah, this is something I'd actually want to implement into my university hunt program in a different state and just kind of talk about this angle about it a little more. Is that okay if we utilize this video or what have you? But a lot of it was, I had a lot of kids that were between the age of 16 to 25 that reached out to me and they're like, hey man, like, what do I do if my buddies do this stuff? And it's like, all right, let's talk about it. Let's, like, obviously you don't want to be the whiner in the group that's calling your buddies out or whatever. But, at some point everybody has to grow up and figure out how to be an adult. And well, maybe the conversation has to be had. And if the people don't want to hunt the way you want to hunt, find different people because those people aren't your people. So it opened up that line of communication, which is, I like educating young kids. But also it's to be able to have young kids understand it fully rather than just feed into all the garbage of the latest and greatest hoodie and shirt and waterproof this and duck that. The industry can suck you in and make you spend a lot of money to kill ducks when you really don't need to spend that much money to kill ducks, if you're completely honest. But
Yeah. That's
nice,
a whole nother rabbit hole.
That's a whole, yeah. But the flip side of that, I had companies that were pretty upset that I used their name in a couple of things. And it wasn't that I used their name as far as like they were promoting it. It was more so some of the people in the videos were saying that they were promotional or pro staff, right? That fun-filled word we like to throw out there, that they were promoting these companies. Well, you're promoting a company. Say I'm a big company and not a small business, full color Waterfowl, and you're wearing all my stuff and you're doing this and putting it on the internet.
Oh, I'd be livid.
Yeah, you're putting me in a bad light.
Who was it?
Go ahead. Well, Her Wilderness Co. was one of them. So they got pretty upset to the point where they were telling me that they were going to get lawyers and cease and assist letters and all this stuff. That was the one with the lady in the blind with the wounded snow goose that she thought it was funny to just sit and pet.
Oh yeah, that was the most disgusting one, I think.
That was pretty up there, yes. And my thing with it is there's a couple other huntress groups that I send merchandise to, so that they can, in a sense, promote my business, right? But helping them out on their trips. And one of the groups went on a alligator hunt and a green wing and blue wing teal hunt down in Louisiana. So I scratch your back, you scratch mine. You take a couple of videos with a hat on and a big alligator on your back, and it's it helps promote them as well. This group says that they promote women in the outdoors, which I'm 100% for because, well, 40% of hunting now is women, which is pretty cool in my opinion. But this is what we're showing women.
Yeah.
We're showing them that it's acceptable to play with wounded snow geese and make a mockery of it. And they took it as if I was attacking their personal business, more so than showing something that somebody posted on a public platform and shedding light on why this stuff happens. So they kind of took it the strong stance way, and I kind of backed off a little bit on it just because I don't need that kind of drama in my life. I really don't. It got to the point where I felt I needed to do the right thing by taking it down because there was death threats involved.
Oh my God.
And that opens a whole new can of worms into the dark side of waterfowling. You disagree with it, right? You disagree with it to the point where it upsets you, and now you're going to take it to the point of wishing death upon somebody, or wait until I see you and I'm going to beat the crap out of you or throw you in a ditch just like that snow goose. And so that one went too far for what I was trying to do with that post, and so I respectfully took it down because I never wished harm upon a person because of that. But that's the other side of our waterfowl community that we have.
And presumably these are people that are reaching out to you that are affiliated with, what was the company again? I'm not familiar with it.
So
Her
her Wilderness Co. They basically
Her Wilderness
um,
Co. Okay.
yeah, it's a group that basically takes like groups of women. It'll be 10 to 15 women on like they'll go on a duck hunt or they'll go deep sea fishing. It's to get more people into the women into the outdoors doing things as a group of women is kind of what their mission
Okay,
is.
that's
So
awesome. That
yeah,
sounds awesome.
until you put on your profile that you're a coordinator for their company and you're doing stuff like that, then raises a little bit of questions.
Okay. Okay.
The
Now the
other,
pieces are coming together.
yeah, the other angle to that was on that person's profile was that they were a coordinator and stuff for Little Wilderness Co., which is for little kids. So, at what point are we teaching these kids and women the correct way to do this stuff, or are we doing this stuff as a group and thinking it's funny and passing this along into other generations of duck hunters? That's the angle I went with it, and it just went kind of a little off the rails, so to speak.
Yeah, that's a hard one. Well, when it goes to that level, then did you get the authorities involved?
No, I didn't go that far. I mean, the death threats wasn't toward me. It was toward the woman in the video.
Oh,
Yeah,
so this
yeah,
is oh
and
wow.
yeah,
Okay. I
yeah.
thought that company reached out to
Oh no,
you.
no, 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 no.
Okay.
So they had that stuff happen to them, and then the
Okay.
ladies,
Okay.
the lady that owns the company actually had to take down all of her personal social media accounts because she was getting so many that she thought that she was going to have to close down her business Instagram accounts as well.
Okay. Okay. So it was the people that opposed the video that were making death threats. I'm
Correct.
thinking, man, this is crazy. Like they're really drawing a line in the sand, but it was okay. I'm
Yeah,
tracking you
yeah, yeah.
now.
So when that when that stuff happened, it was just like, okay, so we're advocating for changing it, but then the hunter, us, is telling this girl we're going to kill her
Yeah, that's not cool.
because,
That's
and so that's the the hunter in the weeds that the dark side that I've talked about before that as duck hunter at any hunting group, I would say waterfowlers are kind of the biggest jerks to one another, especially on public land. It's just wild. I don't understand it. It's just like
yeah,
you'll be
there's like
yeah,
go ahead.
it's a
I'm
whole
sorry.
different animal. The public land stuff. I refuse to go to Arkansas because I'm not bouncing off boats with baseball bats and all that other stuff. It's not worth a duck to me, in my opinion.
It's like there's waterfowl hunters, fly fishermen,
Yep.
turkey hunters. They all fall
Yep.
into that like man, look out because if you're not elite, man, you're getting bounced, you know?
Yep. Yeah.
I would have just thought, okay, so okay, she obviously she's affiliated with this company and she posts this video, so it's not a good look, right?
Right.
Um, I would have thought that you just do some damage control and you go, hey, this is not what we're about. We
Yep.
we we definitely feel bad about this. Thank you for bringing it our attention. It's not going to happen again, and we're gonna reach out to our constituents and make sure that we educate them in the future. I mean, I would think
Yeah.
that would be, and I'd have more respect for that than just taking everything down.
Yeah. If it would have ended at that, I mean, the second that I started having email conversations with her, it went straight to deflection. It's not us, it's you. You did this. You did this. And it's just like, well, I didn't do anything of it. I just put it online with all stuff that you already put out there.
Yeah, they effed up and they need to own it.
Right.
And one way of owning it is to educate so people don't make the same mistake.
Right. And I mean, I do through Full Color Waterfall, I do like a little ambassador program for me, just, young kids in the local area that, they pay me money to be their a little Full Color Waterfall ambassador. They wear the brand, they post about it and that kind of stuff. And if one of them would do that, I'd be like, hey man, I'm sorry, but I can't have this. This is
Yeah.
a terrible look for it makes it look like it's a direct reflection of me and it looks like it's a direct reflection of my wife. And sorry, but I just can't have that. So there's certain times where, and I would say that was the one that was probably the worst as far as like feedback fallout that I received. All the other ones were more or less like I had people from state agencies reach out to me within the states that some of those happened and been like, man, this stuff's 100% illegal in my state. I'm going to reach out to my local warden and go above him if I have to and see if we can get something rectified from this. Because it's just the one that probably went the furthest for citations and everything else that ended up turning into was the guys that were playing with the wounded goose.
Yeah.
That was a group of school teachers, pastors, and one guy worked in fisheries biology or something. So they should know better, right? At
Oh
least the
man.
priest should know better. They wounded that goose at 8 o'clock in the morning, and they took their tailgate photo with it still standing next to them bleeding at 12:30.
Jeez. That's
So,
disgusting.
mhm.
And so I'm glad to hear they got citations. That's great. They should lose their hunting privileges.
Yeah, and for me, when I started looking into some of this, then it opens up the whole can of worms because then you start looking into like, okay, what is the law about how long do you have to dispatch your birds? What's a reasonable amount of time? Well, 4 hours is not a reasonable amount of time, but how many people are willing to just do that? You grab a duck from the water and throw it on the floor of the canoe or the boat and just let it sit and flop around for 4 hours because you don't care, you know? And I see a lot of that. That's why it's very important to me to kind of advocate for the animal because they're my life. I love them, but I can shoot them, and I know there's going to be more of them out there because I put wood duck boxes out and help band and do all the stuff that I feel is the right thing to do to be able to have them for my nieces and nephews to harvest later in life. But the more people you talk to, whether it's here or different states, it's kind of disheartening how many people in that younger generation just don't value the ethics of dispatching a bird.
Yeah, and you think that most states have a wanton waste law, and I know Alaska had a molestation law specifically for fish. I would
Okay.
imagine that would be applicable to ducks as well. I'm not sure if that exists or it does in other states, but basically, just for that reason, you cannot. They call it molest. I know people use molest for another
Right.
application, but or another meaning rather. But it's basically you can't mess with the fish if you're not catching them the proper way and dispatching them the proper way.
Sure.
And to me, like it's not even like why should there be a law that tells you that? Just as a
Right.
hunter, like be ethical. Don't be stupid.
Yeah. Well, and a lot of my wanting to dispatch birds really quickly. I don't hunt with a dog, so in water, people think that's weird. I don't hunt with a dog because I hunt in a kayak. The place that I go is like impossible to get a dog back into, and it would be more, I don't know, safety issues and dicking around than it would be an enjoyable experience, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Um, but from the whole dispatching stuff, I had a deer that when I was younger, I shot with a bow, and I was in a ground blind. And when I shot that doe, um, she swung her hind quarters farther than I've ever seen a deer swing their hind quarters to go to run. And I hit that deer dead center of the rump.
Uh-huh.
It went in at a goofy angle, heart sunk to my feet. I knew that I just wounded an animal I'm not going to find. Well, I watched it fall over and kind of told myself I don't know how that worked, but it did. So as any bow hunter does, you wait 45 minutes to an hour and got down. I went to go gut the deer, and lo and behold, it was still alive and sitting upright. Had the look of death in its eyes and drooling and made me feel like a piece of crap, basically. But I advocate for this stuff and I dispatch the deer right away. But then I show these videos, right? So my kind of full circle moment was no time in that me harming that deer and not putting it out of its misery right away because I didn't know it was wounded and not dead. Never did I reach for a cell phone to take my cell phone out of my pocket to film any of that. It's just not a place that does it happen? Yes, it happens to all of us. You make a bad shot, you wring a duck's neck and it doesn't die and it's flopping around and it could be bleeding all over the boat and just there's some of them that are relentless. They can rip their head off and they're still running around. But
yeah, yep.
But none of that needs to be on social media because I just don't see how that's a net positive for any part of hunting, in my opinion.
It's not, and I just think that these guys have a thirst for blood, and in addition to the thirst for blood, these guys have a thirst for attention, and that would be the only logical explanation that would make you think like, okay, not only is it bad to do that without a camera,
right?
But in what world you live in do you think keeping an animal alive for hours on end after you've shot it, and then showing it to the world is a good idea? Like, it's so beyond my comprehension as a hunter, just as a human being, as a decent human being. I just, even in the deepest, darkest place of my mind, I would never ever do something like that. It's just, God, it pisses me off.
Yeah, and the sad part is that's like the 1%. I like to tell myself we're in the 99 and that's the 1% that does that kind of stuff, but I don't know if that 1% is 5% or 10% of where we are right now within the hunting community because of social media. I love social media. I've met many good hunting buddies through it, but a lot of that stuff comes to the forefront because this will get us clicks. This will get us likes. This will get us shares.
Let's get us sponsorships. This will get us free gear. Yeah, it's just crazy.
And they see that stuff as a benefit to put themselves out there and get noticed. Well, I'm sorry, but I don't want to get noticed for that. But it works on the internet, and people are willing to do it. So, social media is a positive, negative for me. It's kind of how I look at it.
Yeah, well, it's definitely. When you show things dying that most people, even hunters, disagree with, that's definitely a negative. So was that the did you only do 3 videos or was there more?
There was the kid with the wood duck, there was the girl with the snow goose, and then there was the guys playing with the wounded goose. And then there was another one where a girl and her dad thought that it was wise to wound a green-winged teal, play with it, and put Mr. Rogers in the background, that he was proud of her for doing that. And then they clipped that video into her smashing its head on a tailgate.
I saw that one too, yeah.
So that one is just like, you just taught that to your daughter and you guys thought it was, and his response to me, he responded to me on Instagram. He's just like, I don't know why you're putting me on blast. We just made a funny video.
Yeah. And
I said, the fact that you think that's funny is the reason why I put this out there. It's not funny in any manner. And say that young girl has other girlfriends that want to go hunting with her dad. Is he going to then teach them how to disrespect animals in that manner? And then the cycle continues of just more people that are willing to treat animals like garbage.
Well, and it's also characteristic of it's just to a lesser degree of you don't value life.
Right.
Like, if you kill another human being, you don't value life.
Right.
Right. If you kill, I'm not saying that I'm comparing killing a duck, but to do something like that to a duck, it is a living creature. Like, what the fuck?
Right. Borderline school shooter mentality.
Yeah.
Quite honestly.
Right. It's like, I don't care if it's just a duck. You might think it's just a duck, but God, have some, and again, go back to do it and make a video of it. God, what?
And it's one of those things. It's just like, okay, if it's just a duck, is it okay if it's just your grandma? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
where do you draw that line of how sick and twisted you are in your head to be able to think that one's okay but the other's not? Like, or do they flirt with that line and that's something that's up there? You don't know.
Well, and the other thing too is it's not beyond comprehension to think that these videos can lead to bans in some
Right.
way. I mean,
Yep.
the Josh Bomar shoots or spears a bear in Canada. That makes headlines, and guess what? Now it's illegal.
Yep.
Those guys shot that bear in British Columbia, the grizzly bear. That video, the bear rolls down a hill, they're laughing, hooting and hollering, making a mockery of it.
Yep.
There's no more grizzly bear hunting in British Columbia. So
Yep.
these videos, while they seem benign, they can lead to bigger and more, damaging actions to hunters.
Hmm.
So that's what I mean. Like, that's why I think the industry is kind of quiet on these things. I mean, they should be front and center monitoring these guys that are making these videos that are getting clicks and likes and all this shit.
Yeah, and there's been some big names that have reached out, but it hasn't been. I would have thought that, if they went as viral as they were, and mind you, my reasoning for doing these wasn't to go viral. It was more the education angle. And I wouldn't really say they went viral. They got like 50,000 views or whatever. But
No, that's a lot.
I thought I thought more people within the industry, whether it's duck companies or decoy companies and that kind of stuff, would have reached out and been like, hey man, like, I like what you're doing. Can I share this or whatever? And or use it as a teaching tool. But a lot of the big boys they stay out of it because they know that it's that industry of, whether it's like getting into politics and religion. You pick a side and that's your side, and then you're cutting out some of your base that could buy some blacked
Mhm.
out decoys that are the new craze, or whatever
Or
the case may be.
yeah.
So I get it from a certain standpoint, but the other side of it, I never really see any of them speaking out about just ethics in general. When I started the whole series of doing it, I just looked to be curious on Instagram handles, like what you could pick as a new Instagram if I was going to open up a brand new one. Um, Ethical hunter, ethical waterfowl, ethical anything that was relating to hunting was all available, because why would you pick that one? You wouldn't want to be ethical and put your name behind it.
Well, I bet
So
you
that was kind of like
if you pick
a weird thing that I
Slayer
just,
or
yeah,
Killer or those are
yeah,
all gone.
yeah, Buck Slayer and Duck Killer and all those were definitely gone. But
Yeah.
ethical waterfowler, I grabbed that one because why not? So
Yeah, that's crazy. And again, this is not just waterfowl hunters. Like, I
oh
just
no,
responded to a video of what are they called? I don't even want to give them. I don't want people going to watch these videos because they're just sick. But they posted a video. I think it was Josh Bomar shooting a baboon with his bow through the heart, and it's disgusting. It really
yeah,
is. And then it's even more disgusting that people are trying to get clicks from it.
right.
Uh,
Oh yeah,
you know,
like I get the aspect of a clean ethical kill. Like I get that angle of it, but at at the same time, it's you see people that post, and bigger companies, outfitters, what have you, they'll post the pillowcase, and it's just like, okay, you shot a duck at 14 yards with TSS 9 to it.
right?
So at that point, you're just killing to kill, and you're putting that out there. Or you're blowing a duck's head off. Okay, it comes to mind for me, but yeah, we put all that stuff out there and call it cool, I guess. Yeah, I'm a firm believer in that little finisher tool so it's basically like, well, old granddad would call it an 8 penny nail, but this one it's a circle and then it's got a hook on the end. Basically it looks like it's like a tapered small version of like an old style nail that they would
Okay.
have used, like a flat nail, but it's curved so that you grab the duck's beak and you tip the head up right, and you can feel that little soft spot right in the back of their head.
Okay.
And then I just have it right on my lanyard. So you just take it, find that soft spot, push down, turn up, and the duck's dead.
Okay.
So basically you're scrambling the brain basically, and
Yeah.
they're brain dead. Yet will they kick a little bit? Sure. I mean, cut a chicken's head off, it's still going to run,
Right.
but but you're scrambling the computer and everything's done, and taxidermy. If you shoot a bird that's worthy of taxidermy, you can poke that little hole in there. Taxidermy. If you have a good taxidermist, that doesn't phase them whatsoever. The hole that it makes is about the same size as a double BB. So, but yeah, it's a really great tool to use, and
And it's
you know,
quick and ethical.
very ethical. Yep.
So that's why
They
you'll
make
never see it on Instagram.
well they the finisher, they have an Instagram page. They make three different sizes. So the back side of it is actually a choke tube wrench. So it's kind of like a
Oh, no
multi
shit.
tool. And then the front of it, they make one for ducks. They make a bigger one for geese, and they even make one for sandhills.
Oh, wow. I'll have to check
So
it out.
yeah, so you don't have to be the guy that was on Instagram that I can't find the video now that thought it was hilarious to try to punt a sandhill crane from here to Oklahoma and thought it was hilarious. So that one
Ah,
slipped through my cracks. I can't find that one now,
jeez.
which is okay. Maybe it means that he took it down and had a come to Jesus moment. Who knows?
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, hopefully that you don't have to do this that much longer. Hopefully people wise up and people start speaking out. More folks like yourself.
Yeah,
And I was really surprised how much support you got on. I wasn't surprised. I was happy to see it. I was hoping
sure.
for it.
Yeah,
Uh, but the death wishes are a little bit, or the death threats are a little bit much. But
right. But yeah, it opened my eyes up for sure. Just to being an advocate for animals, and I never thought that me as a hunter I would be getting into the advocacy role. I mean, it's something that's a little bit different angle than I've ever taken, and it's actually kind of pleasantly nice. I like doing it, and I enjoy educating people, and yeah, it's just kind of a different angle to take.
same thing with us doing this podcast, the Hunt Quietly podcast with Matt, and the Conservation Fishing and Hunting podcast. I mean, those two avenues for advocacy and meeting people and trying to make things better is so rewarding.
Yeah.
And now Hunters for Access too. I don't know if you're familiar with Hunters for Access, but
Yeah.
that's that's been very rewarding, and hopefully it continues.
So from you being from Alaska, I have a question for you. I saw something the other day that was kind of I didn't know how to take it. So it was a guide service up there that I will not name, that uh, they have a package that you can do because I like to ban birds and stuff like that. So that's my other little thing that I like to do. I saw a outfitter up there that is guaranteeing you a banded brant hunt for X amount of dollars. So basically, they're targeting banded brants and they're hunting them exclusively. The package offers. And it's basically almost guaranteeing the hunter that you're going to shoot a tarsal banded and federally banded brant goose.
Ah, man, that seems kind of, as my kids would say, seems kind of sketch.
It does. It's actually a major outfitter up there too. So it's
Where,
kind of one of those
we're at.
Aleutian
Do you know what part of Alaska?
Islands.
Okay.
So I had it sent to me by a buddy, and it was actually on their page, and they were promoting it, and I'm just like, talk about a research project that's never getting off the ground to do anything. What good is a band if there's no data behind it. You're basically doing a money grab from deep pocketed hunters, basically.
Yeah, and
And yep.
it's not cheap to get down there.
No.
I
And
hunted down there ducks through work,
yep.
and there's just so many ducks and different kinds of ducks, and I was shooting things that I had no idea what they were.
Right.
A lot of sea ducks. I'm like, I at that time I'm like, I barely know what a mallard is.
What's a scoter?
Yeah, exactly. But I would say that's kind of, man, every hunter, a federally banded
Yep.
goose.
Specifically target banded birds. I mean, I look at, so like I see on social media where these people go out and you'll have it was a great morning. We shot 47 bands out of one field. And as me as a bander and going out and helping with that kind of stuff, it's like, okay, either one person in that group knows every place that the birds were banded, and then you just hunt the side fields next to where you banded.
Yeah.
And they never show all the numbers because the numbers are in succession.
Right.
So it's
Right.
like, I'm sorry, guys, I'm just not digging it.
The first duck I ever shot was banded and radio collared.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Wow.
First duck I ever shot. And the guy I was with, he was an avid duck hunter, and he was just like, "You are a motherfucker." And
It's how it goes.
I sent, believe it or not, I sent everything back to the. I called the number on the
Yep.
back of the on the collar. It looked like a little backpack with this wire
Yep.
sticking out.
Yep.
And I sent the band back as well, and the collar. But they sent me this nice letter saying, when the duck was banded and radio collared, where it was banded, and then they sent me like this map of the
The migration pattern.
yeah.
Nice.
And but I lost. I don't know where the letter is. I should have framed it when I got it, but
Right.
I have neither the radio collar, the band, or the letter. But I did get the duck mounted, so I
There you go.
I know when I look at that thing. But yeah, if if they're advertising that, it seems kind of far-fetched. But again, I don't know.
Right. Yeah, a lot of that stuff. I mean, I don't know. I see it where waterfowling is going to some of these states are the only way you're hunting them is if you're participating in the pay to play mindset. No fields are accessible unless you got deep pockets or you're going with outfitters and stuff. Even the outfitters are having to pay hand over fist to be able to even get in fields to take clients on. And it's just like, is that where we're going? Is that what it's going to become?
There's a place, and my one good buddy in Pennsylvania, it's not good waterfowling at all, especially in Western PA. It's not. But my buddy's a avid waterfowler, and he would go to New York, and they'd go with this outfitter, and they would hunt the fields for goose in the morning, and I believe you could shoot 3, and then they would get their 3 and then go on the ponds and private ponds the rest of the day. And he said it was like they did that for 5 years straight. He said it was the best hunt ever. It was pretty affordable, but it was fun and just nonstop action. And I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's 2 geese now. And this outfitter lost their ponds to guys that lease them up.
Sure.
So even the outfitters can't keep up with the cost of this stuff.
Yeah. I mean, some of the outfitters that I talk to, like some guys in Kansas, they have to pay thousands of dollars to lease, like, just to have the access to a field that they might not even hunt all season because you don't know what field you're going to be on and whatnot. So it's like when people say that, oh my God, outfitters are so expensive. I'm like, well, you see how much they have to pay, like from license fees to getting on fields. And once farmers know that you're willing to pay it, it's going to go up every single year to the right person.
And then
So,
if you're an outfitter, you don't want, like, if you have this field leased, you don't want Joe Schmo and his 6 buddies leasing the field next to you.
yep,
So even if you're going to hunt it or not, you're still going to want to lease it up.
yep,
Yeah, it's a wicked cycle.
for sure.
Well, man, I can't say enough about the way you presented your videos, and I'm not just blowing smoke. You were articulate and sincere, and I could see how it resonated with a lot of people because it did with me, and that's why I reached out to you. I'm like, yeah, I got to talk
Sure.
to this dude, and we got a podcast together. So
For
yeah,
sure. Appreciate it.
yeah, I hope for everybody's sake that you don't have to do many more of these videos.
Right.
But I am so glad that guys like you are out there and making these videos to combat these, let's just say it, some of these guys that aren't thinking straight, that are acting like a-holes,
Yeah.
uh, because it doesn't benefit anybody.
Yeah, with the amount of feedback I've gotten and stuff like that, my main mission with it was before you push send, before you push post and make that reel and do that stuff, take a second to just think, would my mom and dad agree with what I just posted? Would I put this in front of my young kids? And would I want the world to see me as this person of this stuff that I'm about to put out? And
Yeah.
if you can say, yep, that's all that stuff, then yeah, go ahead and post it. But if there's doubt in your mind that this is a bad look for you or the people that you're promoting, take the time and just back off and maybe put it on the back burner and say that's just not the right thing to do right now. If it reaches people, great. I mean, obviously, you're not going to change the world. Nobody can change it by themselves, but if you can just kind of instill a little bit more ethicalness, if that's a word, into some young kids, or maybe even get into the thick skull of somebody that's 42 like myself, so be it.
Yeah, I would just say just think about the impact that it could have on somebody who doesn't hunt.
Yep.
And if you can say that, well, first of all, there's a lot to be said about people that are showing videos that are trying to make money from showing videos or get sponsorships. But that,
Yep.
again, that's another rabbit hole. But if you can, like you said, if you could show it to your parents or you could take it to your kid's classroom and show it, then
Yep.
okay. But if you can't do that, then just don't post it. It's not, it's not worth it. It's to the
Yeah.
hunting community as a whole. But first and foremost, I just want to see more people like yourself speak out. And I hope that in the future, when these videos go viral, that more people from industry, more hunt celebrities, they have the balls to say this bullshit is hurting our sport and cut it
Yep.
out.
Yeah. And I had non-hunting people reach out to me on some of these videos, and I had one girl in particular that asked me, "You're not all like that person?" I said,
Yeah.
"No, not at all." And it opened. I probably talked to her back and forth on Instagram for an hour, and just kind of opened her eyes to a little bit of, yes, I have a deer behind me that's mounted on the wall, because when I look at it, I think of my dad because
Hmm.
he was with me. Like, there's so much more involved in hunting that people don't realize than a non-hunter doesn't realize than just shooting an animal and killing something.
Yeah.
And yeah, go ahead.
We all don't drive around in a truck and shoot out the window while we're drinking
Right.
beer and leave the animals in the field. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like some
Yep.
of us, most of us actually care and love the animals that we pursue. And
For sure.
it's hard for people to understand that, but I think after talking, hopefully that girl, after talking to you, maybe understands it a little bit better, that how you can love something that you're hunting and care
Yeah.
about its longevity.
The one girl that was on our university hunt program, she had never picked up a gun before. So she learned how to duck and goose hunt. She shot a goose on the university hunt, and pretty soon it turned into her going out by herself and shooting ducks. And then she sends you a picture of her first turkey. And then she sends you a picture of her first deer and then her first bear. And then she's out in out west somewhere shooting pronghorns. It's just like, holy cow, okay, got through to you.
She was
Like,
meant to be a hunter. That's
yeah,
awesome.
yeah. But it took that little push to get people to understand it fully. And once you do, I mean, the sky's the limit.
And yeah, I mean, like helping people that want to hunt. I mean, that's awesome. You can't do anything more as a hunter that's better than helping somebody who needs it. Because I mean, it's daunting. If you came into hunting without any family support or people hunting, it's almost impossible. And
Yeah,
I think Hunt Quietly has gotten a undeserved reputation for not wanting new hunters. We just don't want new hunters for the wrong reasons. The people that are going to the
for sure.
field for so they could videotape it and they could upload it to Instagram and get
Yep.
sponsors and like
Yep.
that's not hunting. That's not why you should be hunting. If you like this girl, she sounds like she came to hunting for the right reasons because she
Right.
loves it.
Yeah. And she genuinely like knows how to cook it all, like went in full throttle and figured it out. And, and she came from one of these families that's, dad wasn't a hunter and family doesn't hunt. And then, parents get divorced, which happens a lot in our society. And, somebody said, hey, why don't you go to this and see if it's for you? And lo and behold, holy crap, I love this stuff. So I just think that in the outdoor space, people have to learn how to, I guess, see each other's opinions and agree to disagree sometimes and still be friends. We get too much caught up into this, like, have to take everything personally and want to skew your mindset into my mindset. And if you disagree with me, we get pissed off until you agree with me. And it's a toxic culture that we build that way, which, if you don't like turkey hunting and I try to talk to you about it and you're like, yeah, I could give two shits less about turkeys. Okay, well, then don't turkey hunt. It's no more turkeys for me. But
How
yeah,
could you not care about turkey hunting?
people just have to learn a little bit to let stuff roll off your shoulders and not take everything. If you disagree with me, that's okay. That's fine. I'll give you my points, and if you disagree, and I guess I'll go about my life. You go about yours. But it's good to have open lines of communication with all types of walks of life in the outdoor space.
Yeah, for sure. So, where can people find you? You want to give your
Yep. So main thing we do right now is Instagram. So full color waterfall on there. We have fullcolorwaterfall.com for merchandise and stuff like that. We also do like digital download files for people that, if you aren't artistically inclined, but you want to buy a graphic to put on some shirts, whether it's for your hunt club or whatever it may be, there's some generalized graphics that we sell on there for people to kind of add their own font and text to so that they can have shirts for their buddies and that kind of thing. And then I'm slowly, emphasis on slowly, getting myself into the YouTube stuff. And I'm really procrastinating on it because it's more than I want to partake on. But um, the angle of I have a full color waterfall YouTube channel right now, but it's going to be geared toward to become a waterfowler. And it's going to be an educational type course on how I teach people to do bird identification on the wing, learn how to do very simplistic, basic calling. I'm not going to get into, there's plenty of people out there that can teach you how to be a phenomenal caller and buy their $250 duck call. But basically showing people the ethical way to do things in the marsh and kind of etiquette when you come into other groups and shooting your own side and not shooting swing birds and all this kind of stuff. So I'm going to actually put a lot of my photography and stuff into a hardcover educational book that I'm going to be doing. So that's
awesome,
kind of in
man.
the works. But yeah, it's going to be down the road. But now that spring's here, I can go out and get more photography of the birds as they're migrating back up here. So it's going to be a cool spring and summer for me.
Awesome. Awesome. That's great. And anybody who's listening, if you think about posting a video with a live duck that you bring into the blind with you, don't do it because Justin will find you and make a mockery of you.
Or somebody else will find you and
Yeah.
send it to me.
Yeah, there you go.
Because the cool thing about social media is the good people on social media are very social and they're very vocal. So they like to call that stuff out when they want to call a spade too.
And we got to all stick together, man.
Absolutely.
Well, thanks for coming on, Justin. It was good talking to you and meeting you, man.
Yeah, you as well, man.
Let's do it again.
Will do. Take care.
All right, take care.